Hola, me again. All right, we're going to talk about telling time in Spanish. And one thing I've noticed over the years teaching Spanish is that, when we teach time, we look at like the old school analog clock where there's a shorthand and a longhand, and there's a clock right in the classroom, but yet students will be like, Senora, what time is it? ¿Qué hora es? And I'll point to the clock. Come on. And I'll say, I know, I just don't feel like reading it. I don't feel like figuring it out because, well, we're in a digital world where we use digital time, and I've come to accept that. So we'll use digital time for a little lesson on how to tell time today. All right, so you've already learned your numbers. So all we need to know is how to say it's, right? So if it's 1 o'clock, we're going to say es. That means it's. And then with hours, they put the la and then the number. Es la una. Es la una. That's 1 o'clock. Numbers are feminine in when you're telling time because of the word hour is a feminine word. And in Spanish, you already know that things are always have to agree. If it's feminine article, noun, it's feminine article. So, es la una. But when you get beyond 1 o'clock and you get to the number 2, it's more than 1 hour. So your verb needs to be plural, which is son. Now that means they are. But in English, we're not going to say they are at 2 o'clock. We'll just say it's 2 o'clock. So son and then plural because it's 2 hours. Son las dos. For 3 o'clock, it's going to be son las tres. 4 o'clock, son las cuatro, son las cinco, son las seis, son las siete, son las ocho, son las nueve, son las 10, son las 11. So up to there, it gets pretty easy. When you get to noon and midnight, there are 2 different words for that. So for noon, we refer to it as 12 p.m. or 12 post-meridian. So in Spanish, they say it's midday. And it's it's el mediodía. Es el mediodía. It's like saying it's the half day. Mediodía. For 12 a.m. or midnight, we say es la. This is a feminine one because the word dia is masculine. It's el dia. Noche is feminine. So it's la media noche. So this is midnight and this is noon. How do I say 30? It's 2:30. I would say son las dos, and they say and a half, y media. Son las 2:30. All right, so for 3 o'clock, it would be son las 3:30. 3:30. For 4:30, it would be son las 4:30, and so on. All right, so I'll erase. But instead of saying y media, you could also, for say 5:30, you have a choice. You can say son las 5:30, or you can just straight up say the minutes, the number of minutes. So in this case, we know 30, so son las 5:30. And then as people are very specific sometimes with their times, and they'll say, well, I'll meet you there at 5:32. At that point, you're going to need to write out and not just say y media. You're going to need to say 32. And in order to do that, we write 30, and then we add the 2, y dos. 32. Now, another word kind of like y media is y cuarto, and a quarter. So suppose it's 5:15. You have two choices for when it's at the 15 mark, and those are y cuarto and a quarter, because it's a quarter of an hour, or y quince and 15. So let's write it out. Son las cinco. Your two choices are y cuarto, that's and a quarter. But if you don't like to use that and you want to stick to the numbers, go right ahead and just add the number for 15, which is quince. AM and PM is the last thing I'm going to include in this video, because 5:15 could be AM, right, in the morning, or it could be PM in the afternoon or evening. So if you want to say it's 5:15 in the morning, for AM, it's de la mañana, of the morning. De la mañana. And the little tilde over the end makes it sound like ña. De la mañana. De la mañana. Suppose it's PM, you would say de la. Now, if you haven't had dinner yet, you could say de la tarde, in the afternoon. Some people have a very late dinner and kind of a late schedule. But if you've already had dinner, say it's 8:15. Let's change that to be 8:15. Son las 8:15. It could be de la mañana, 8:15 in the morning, or 8:15 at night. We've had dinner, it's getting dark outside. Instead of de la tarde, which is afternoon, we say de la noche. So we have three choices: de la mañana for AM, and for PM, de la tarde or de la noche. Now, while we're here, I would like to talk about one little pronunciation tip that comes up when I think of this word, which can mean late or afternoon. Students don't feel confident rolling an R, but in Spanish, it's not really an R. It's a D sound. It's like a tap of your tongue, as in the sound like butter, 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 da da da, tarde. So students will say, well, I can't do that yet. But if I tell you that you already can, especially the single R, if you think of a teeter-totter, those things in the playground kids sit on either side of and raise each other up and down, totter, like teeter-totter, totter, day. The word day, like have a good day. Totter day, 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 totter day. Practice with that, because you're going to say, oh yeah, it does sound like that, and I already can make those noises. It's just that when you think of the R in Spanish, don't think of it as an R. Think of it as a tap of the tongue, like the D sound in butter or totter. All right, so this concludes a very rough introductory lesson on telling time in Spanish, with also an introduction to tapping that tongue on the roof of your mouth, right behind your teeth, to make the R sound, which is really like a D sound in butter. All right, guys, thanks for hanging in there with me.